are you today? What are you making for dinner tonight? You want to make something with ramen? I know you do because you have all those packets of ramen in your cabinet and you're like, what am I going to do with that? Today you're going to discard the packet, make a delicious peanut sauce, skewer up some beef kebabs, and be super happy. It's beef satay with like a peanutty sauce. First you want to start by squeezing some lime juice. These are full of juice. I love when that happens. You need 2 tablespoons total. 1 to go into marinade, and then 1 tablespoon into this blender. This is where I'm gonna make the sauce. I already have 1/3 of a cup of water in there. Then you need 2 teaspoons of grated ginger. And 1 teaspoon's gonna go in the sauce, 1's gonna go in the marinade. I like to peel my ginger with the side of a spoon. A thin edge works better. And then just grate it on one of these rasp graters. Do you have one of these? They're super excellent. 1 teaspoon into the marinade, and 1 teaspoon into the blender for the sauce. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce goes into the marinade, and then you're gonna need 1 or 2 tablespoons in the sauce. I'm gonna start with 1. Teaspoon of sugar in the marinade, and then 3/4 into the sauce. Just a little bit of sweetness. The last ingredient is some peanut butter, 1/3 of a cup of smooth peanut butter, and then blend it up. And that's your sauce for the ramen. Make sure you scrape all the sauce off. It sort of flies all over there, so you want to make sure you get it all. And then pour this into a bowl for later. By later, I mean like in a few minutes when I go cook my ramen. Just set it aside. Here's the marinade. I just want to stir it together. Over here, I have some skewers. These are soaking in water so that they don't burn when I'm cooking. Always be thinking ahead, and that way cooking is really easy. I have 1 pound of steak. This is a flank steak. Cut your steak very thinly crosswise against the grain so that it's nice and easy to eat. When you're done slicing up your steak, toss it into your marinade so it's nicely coated. You're supposed to let it sit for 10 minutes, but I went out of order, so now it's not sitting for 10 minutes. But all the sauce is already absorbed onto that beef, so I think I'm okay. Take your soaked skewers and then thread the beef onto the skewers in a little back and forth motion. You know what a satay looks like, right? This is what we're making. We're making beef satay. You probably get about 3 pieces of beef onto a long skewer. If you wanted to serve it as an appetizer for a party, you could do 1 beef on a short skewer. All right, that's the last one. That only took a couple minutes. No big deal. I'm just gonna empty this water out and put my skewers in here to transport them. All right, now I need to wash my hands. Sticky. We are practically done. Isn't that what you like to hear? It's what I like to hear. Let's go to the stove. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is start cooking my ramen, which are the regular old ramen, but I'm gonna get rid of the seasoning packet because that's just full of MSG and doesn't taste good to me. You need 2 packages of ramen. These are 3 ounces each. Then they just go into boiling water for about 3 minutes. All right, now we don't have much time. Let's get going. Now you can cook your skewers. They may actually take a little bit more time to cook than the ramen. I probably should have started doing this first, but who's counting? I have it nice and hot. I'm just oiling it a little bit so they don't stick because there was no oil in that marinade. And then just throw them on. Ah, sizzling. And they just take a few minutes to cook, really not very long at all, especially if you want your meat medium rare, which you do because it's delicious. While I'm waiting for those to cook and that to cook, I'm just gonna slice up some cucumber. That's the last thing I need for this dish. You probably don't need to cut up the whole cucumber just for the 4 servings, but my family are big fans of cucumbers, especially my daughter, Michaela, so I'm just gonna go ahead and slice it all up, and if I don't use it all, I'll save some for later. I can drain my ramen, so I'm gonna do it. Turn over your skewers. Word to the wise, you might want to use shorter sticks. They're catching on fire because they're hanging off the edge. You should be on a medium-high heat. Don't panic if the skewers do catch on fire. It shouldn't necessarily burn your house down. While these are finishing cooking, I'm just going to toss the ramen with the peanut sauce and then we're ready to serve. Toss it in the peanut sauce. Who needs that seasoning packet, right? And that's it, we're done. I actually want to season my skewers a little bit. I felt like it could use a little bit of salt. You should taste it to make sure because not everybody has as salty of a palate as I do. Get yourself a plate. How long did that take? Not very long, especially if you skip the marinating time like I did. Oh, come on. A couple of skewers. How about these, because these have more caramelization and they're prettier. A couple of cukes. Not just for college students anymore. It's bright and refreshing and delicious and healthy. I don't know how healthy it is, but it's all those other things. I mean, it's not unhealthy.